Hey everybody, this is a health and wellness edition of the Suzette Speaks Show. I am your hostess with the mostest, Suzette Speaks. I'm excited to welcome somebody very new to my platform. Her name is Nzingah Oniwosan. I hope I'm saying it right. She just told me how to say it, y'all. I'm super excited and I love the power of social media for this reason. I've been following her for some time. I won't say social media stalking, but very much admiring her from afar and being able to observe someone live out what they preach is a really important thing for me. And she is a health and wellness practitioner, motivational speaker, and someone who has found the secret, I would say, in terms of how she has learned to heal herself. You see, you guys, she was diagnosed with a brain tumor, and through holistic naturopathic means and some, I think, just overall wellness strategies and techniques, she was able to heal herself from several different long-term illnesses. So I'm really interested in what she's doing, and she helps other people do that. She tries to use her journey, conquering disease, y'all, to help others who are in the fight learn how to live a balanced, holistic, what she says, food is your medicine life. And I'm grateful for her because oftentimes we forget, guys, that food can be medicine too. So if you're into health and wellness, if you're seeking a detox, she's going to talk about her 21-day detox and all the wonderful offerings she has. Make sure you check out her website. She is on all platforms. And I love the name of her company. It's called, yes, baby, I like it raw. Hey, somebody. It is a health and wellness, inspirational coaching and motivational company. So I want you guys to check it out. I want you guys to pay close attention to her story. And without further ado, please welcome Miss Nzingah to the Suzette Speak Show. Welcome, Nzingah. How are you?
Hi, it's so good to be on your show. I'm excited to talk
I'm
about all things wellness.
Yes, it's a pleasure. First of all, y'all, this is the first time we've spoken, so I'm going to get to know her right alongside each and every one of you. So, as we get started, Miss Nzinga, just tell us more about you and how you began on this journey to better health and wellness.
Okay, awesome. So my name is Nzingah Oniwosan. I am from Delray Beach, Florida, but I'm a first generation Haitian-American. And my company was founded because of my own personal journey. I was diagnosed when I was a preteen with a brain tumor. It's specifically a prolactinoma, which is a pituitary tumor. And as a result of that tumor, I got diagnosed with PCOS because they were running so many tests around my hormones. And then I later on, like within a year or two, also got diagnosed with an autoimmune disorder. I would say that was a harder journey to get diagnosed. And I was essentially told that there were certain things that I would never be able to do because of my diagnoses. And I would need to be on medication for the rest of my life because there were things that my body didn't do naturally. Like, for instance, I didn't menstruate. And that was the key indicator that something wasn't going right with me because my menstrual cycle was very irregular. And so essentially by the time that I was 14 years old, I had several specialists, was on lots of medication, was also getting a lot of conflicting information, and just had to stay in and out of the doctor's office as they were trying to help me navigate the best way to live with my conditions. And I think one of the pivotal moments for me was specifically with my autoimmune disorder when I went to see a new physician. And she was like, there's nothing we can really do for you just because you're Black, and that was disheartening. I've been told that there were a lot of challenges I would have in general, but then to someone to bring my race as an element was even more disheartening. So being diagnosed as a child, it was hard for me to make decisions around my health in terms of holistic practices. But I will say that within my Haitian household, there were definitely holistic practices being instilled as I was still being while I was still being seen by a physician. And then when I
Whoa,
was in
let me jump in because there's so much that you just shared that I'm so intrigued by. Y'all, welcome Nzingah. I'm really excited that she is an open book, y'all. If you have questions, drop them in the chat as we get to know her and get to know what she does through, I guess, firsthand experience and understanding her own body. So as a child, I'm trying to think how daunting it is for young ladies when you start your menstruation and you think about, you know, the difficulties especially at the beginning. Like it's almost like you don't even understand your body really, and you are trying to just get it. You can't get it regulated, but understand how to regulate it and what to do about it. So when you first began your cycle, you saying you didn't have it regularly or at all?
Okay, so first and foremost, I had my first menstrual cycle at my pediatrician's office.
Shout out to girls who start under 10 years old. Let's go. Yeah. I can relate.
So I was going for my middle school checkup, and my Dr. Go, was like, you have your period? And I was like, no. She's like, go back to the bathroom. And I was like, oh, yeah, I do, you know?
So you didn't know that's what it was?
Well, you know what it was? Like, it hadn't dropped, you know, okay. But she saw stuff in my urine that made her say like, hey.
So it was early menstruation, but like not full menstruation.
Yeah, but when I went to the bathroom, it decided to present itself.
Here we go.
So I think that was really helpful because when I hear a lot of people's like first time story, it's awkward. They didn't know how to have that conversation with their parent or guardian. I was right there at the doctor's office. So, it's like, here you go. This is what you do. And it actually turned into a celebration, which was a little awkward for me. Because my mom
that was not my experience. It was like, Lord Jesus, why this couldn't wait? Why this couldn't? Like, I got to pray it over.
It was like, she's becoming a woman. Yeah. My mom called everybody in Haiti, men, females. I was just like, I don't really think everyone needs to know this.
Yeah, thanks. And spreading the gospel, right?
And it was the Sabbath. I grew up Seventh-day Adventist. So it was the Sabbath, and our house was the go-to for people to come to eat. So it literally our Sabbath lunch turned into like, she got her period. Woo! And I'm just like,
Lord have mercy. Oh, man. I remember, I don't know if I was so sick. When mine started, I would vomit every time. I would have such, like, my hormones were like, welcome, and it was like days off of school every time. It was terrible at the beginning. Yeah, it was very terrible at the beginning. No, so I could imagine Caribbean parents handle it different ways. So yours was a celebration, but it wasn't necessarily.
Yeah, but then everyone was also like throwing information at my mom, and like. So someone was like, you got to give her a cup of lemon juice to make sure it's a real cycle and not like a phantom one, And so FYI, if you drink lemon juice, it'll cut your cycle, because it cut my cycle for a couple of days. And because they didn't give my mom enough information, so she actually made me drink lemon juice straight. And then they were like, oh yeah, you're supposed to dilute it in water. And my cycle went away, but then it came back. But then it would come for a month and not come for 2 months. It would come for a month and not come for 3 months. And then there was a 6-month stint. And I will say that in my personal story, I have to tip my head off to my mother, because my mom was like, something's wrong. Like your menstrual cycle doesn't show up and then like become erratic like that. And when she tried to address it with my physician at the time, she was kind of like, oh, she's young, it'll stabilize. And because of my mom's persistence, that's how I got diagnosed. And I will also say we had good insurance. So I had a privilege that allowed me to get diagnosed as early as I did. And so when I went 6 months, they were like, okay, let's do some blood work. And that's when they noted that my numbers were skewed. And then particularly my prolactin, typically prolactin's like 12, mine was 1200. Which is like a big
so and that is control. So did I get it wrong? I read in your bio, did you have a brain tumor or no?
I still do.
So okay, so wait a minute now. All right, so we focus on pituitary first.
Yeah, well, that's in the brain. That's
dude. Come on, let's look anatomy, physiology.
Well, no, everyone doesn't know the brain.
You know when you said pituitary, you know what I thought? Thyroid. My bad. My bad.
Yeah.
When you were talking, I was like, I thought it was in the brain. I wasn't listening,
Yeah,
not active listening.
yeah. So your
So it's
pituitary
your
gland
pituitary is in
is your
your
master
base.
gland, and
Mm-hmm.
it's right. It sits like if we did an intersection between the top of your head and your mouth, or
Mm-hmm.
when you run your tongue on the upper palate and you feel that little bulb,
Mm.
that's where your pituitary sits.
Got it. Got
So
it.
it's like right back here, kind of deal.
Hey, Miss AKA Lady, let me just say hello to a couple people. Hey, welcome to David Hunt in the building. Follow, like, share, comment. We're talking health and restoring one's health through natural means. And I'm here with Nzingah Oniwosan. Hey, and she is a holistic health and wellness expert and practitioner. Hit the like button, y'all, as you come in, whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube. Welcome. And she's giving us her personal story, y'all. I needed this part of her because I didn't really get it firsthand. It's our first time chatting. So I read the bio, but when you hear people say it, it's like different things come up in your mind. So as a young woman, she was talking about her beginning her journey into womanhood. Her cycle begins highly irregular, and mom does the work. Good insurance, praise God, allows her to figure out something was wrong. So what did the doctor tell your mommy?
Well, they were like, she needs to have a MRI. And when they did the MRI, that's when they discovered that I had what's called a prolactinoma. And so it's a benign brain tumor. It's not malignant, because the story would look a little different if it was. However, if you understand the function of the pituitary gland, the pituitary gland is like the master gland. It's all about hormones. And the hormone that it was really throwing off is prolactin. Prolactin, one of the main things that it's known for is the production of milk, breast milk, as well as the cessation of the menstrual cycle. And there's some other things that is related to, but that's the main thing. And
Okay.
so it's what makes mothers stop bleeding when they're pregnant and start producing milk, hence the word prolactin.
Right.
But it has other functions, but we're not going to get into that.
Okay.
So
a tumor on that causes what to happen to your body?
Yeah, because it was my tumors on the anterior portion of my pituitary gland. FYI, I studied neuroscience. That's why I can talk about this a little bit more.
It's deep, y'all. No, I'm grateful because I'm trying to get a picture of it and I'm trying to understand what it meant.
So different parts of the pituitary gland they produce chemicals that send the signals to another part of the body to do certain things. And the anterior portion, and I might be wrong right now, but where my tumor is, it's that area that is particular for menstrual cycle and breast milk. So I had breast milk.
From when you were little?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So talk to me about, is this pituitary gland benign, meaning non-cancerous, tumor also what led to you having polycystic ovarian syndrome?
No. Allegedly.
Okay, how did you find out you had PCOS?
Because they were running all of these tests on me, then that's when they said, like, you also have PCOS. Okay. At the time, I was dealing with other things. I was pre-hypertensive. I was suffering from childhood obesity. Okay. And I think the PCOS combined with the prolactinoma were the reasons why I was dealing with that, because as soon as they put me on medication, the weight dropped.
Yeah. Okay, so it was even though they're not gonna say it was related.
Well,
it's likely that it was.
They were saying there was a connection with my weight issues that were happening at the same time time. But by the time I was seeing specialists, I had done some personal work to lose weight, and then it kind of started. The medication took out. Yeah, because my pediatrician was like, "Oh no, she's pre-hypertensive. You guys have to have her lose weight." Because I was pretty big. My mom had to have my church clothes made because she couldn't buy anything for me. I was a size 22 in children. For those of you who have daughters, at 11 years old. Yeah, so it was rough. It was rough.
Was that related to the pituitary as well?
Between the pituitary and the PCOS, that was throwing my weight off. And once you start, and I will say I had insulin resistance, because one of the indicators for insulin resistance is that dark neck that we see in some people in the African Black community. And that's usually an indicator, heads up, if you didn't know, that's an indicator how you like have a thickening of the skin and it's super dark. I know I had insulin resistance at that time. And PCOS now is seen as a form of diabetes or insulin resistance. Yeah. And that's why a lot of women who have PCOS have challenges with losing weight. They'll work out, they'll eat super clean, but they don't see the transformation in terms of their numbers. And that's because they have to like renegotiate how their body is processing the hormones and things like that. And so that's kind of in my research and things like that.
That's really good, because I want people to know, and thank you, little Ernest, said your pituitary gland is which promotes growth spurts in teenagers and young adult men. Gotcha. Thank you.
And it has so many functions. So some people who have pituitary adenomas, they have, like, some people who are super tall, it's a tumor that they have.
That's pressing on the wrong place, but it's causing a growth spurt that's super, super tall. Yeah. And it can have what some would call beneficial effects, but it can also have damaging effects, as you're describing, which is keeping your weight. Because I seen your picture on Instagram, girl. You look good. So there is something that you figured out, and we're going to get to that momentarily, you guys. Please hit the like button. Talking to Nzingah Oniwosan. I keep saying it. I hope I get it right. From Yes Baby, I Like It Raw is the name of her company. She challenges people. She inspires people. She guides people into a wellness journey because she herself has lived it. And anybody who has faced such very looming and scary, some people would even say, health challenges sometimes don't find the results or the answers that she has. So I'm grateful that she's here sharing what has worked for her. We're going to get into her 21-day detox shortly. If you have questions about health, wellness, and things that you're hearing, please feel free to drop them in the chat and hit the like button. Team Replay, welcome. All right. So as you are going through, this is all being diagnosed while you're a teen. So middle school. So mommy is not feeding you that good, what they call it, bonon, or that good jonjon rice and those good like fried plantain and all that. It wasn't because of none of that. It was hormonal.
It was hormonal. It was hormonal. That was the bigger issue.
I think people need to hear that, because sometimes we see bigger kids and we're automatically thinking that's an overfed kid. Their parents are not, their parents are abusing them. Some people even say, they're eating way too much. And then sometimes we have to go to the doctor, y'all, to see if it could be a matter of hormones. So I'm glad you're raising that, because every child is different. And maybe some do overeat and don't exercise or don't move a lot, but others have underlying issues with hormones. So I'm glad you can point that out. So you had a third major issue that you also discovered. What was that?
I have an autoimmune disorder called scleroderma.
Scleroderma. Can you explain to folks what scleroderma is?
I've heard it before. Yes, scleroderma is an autoimmune disorder that attacks your connective tissue. It is found a lot more in people of African descent, and it's more fatal in women of color. And so that diagnosis was more difficult for me to get.
And what does it do to you? What does it mean your body does what?
So all of your organs are made up of connective tissue, and your immune system is basically attacking itself. And it creates scar tissue depending on how bad it can be in the different parts of the body. So I'm showing my wrist. I don't know if you can tell that there's hyperpigmentation here. And I have it. I didn't put any powder. I have it here as well. So I had a scar, but the scar showed up and I didn't hurt myself. And the scar kept getting bigger on my left hip, and it kept getting bigger. So my grandmother, remember I said, like, I'm coming from a Caribbean household. My grandmother was a master herbalist, And she was like, oh, she needs to detox. Her blood must be bad. Like she needs to clean her blood because she shouldn't have like these dark spots showing up on her. So she had me do a cleanse. Woo, that was a rough weekend. I was
Hey, grandma, grandma gonna do it. Grandma gonna do it.
She gave me like a cup of castor oil with herbs and coffee, and it was.
Oh, Lord.
She was like, "Got to do it on a Friday because it's going to take her out for the whole week." And it actually did, and it did help because some parts started to lighten up, but I was still having the scars were still overtaking my body. And I think part of the reason why it was a hard diagnosis is they sent me to a dermatologist. And the dermatologist was like, okay, let's put some steroids on there. Let's put some bleaching cream on there. And as a result of it, I have a permanent scar, an additional scar, because I got a chemical burn because they were just kind of throwing random things there.
Wow.
And I am atypical in presentation. So I they had to do a biopsy, and then they decided to also do blood work. So they took a piece of my skin in some of the areas, and with the blood work, that's when they saw I had the markers for scleroderma, and that's when they actually sent me to the University of Miami because it's a rare autoimmune disorder, and because I was atypical, the recommendation was let's study you. But at that point, I was like, I'm not going to be studied. Like I know what this looks like because you guys you've already messed up my skin more.
Right, right.
So
I think a lot of people may relate, and especially when you're young, sometimes, and you're presented with skin kind of abnormalities. There is a differential in the understanding sometimes when it comes to darker hues and melanated hues. So, you might have to go, to, like you were saying, a specialist at at University of Miami to kind of get to the bottom of things, because not all doctors are kind of equally trained and ready to identify what's going on with you. I see you, Miss AKA Lady. Thank you for your comment. She's asking, are you a holistic doctor? If so, where do you practice? And then she adds, alopecia moves the same way. A lot of people with one autoimmune disorder may have multiple disorders. I'm grateful that you pointed that out. Do you want to address, please, those two for me, please?
Sure. So I am a holistic health consultant. I am not a holistic doctor. And I have another set of certifications that support that work that I do in that holistic framework. And what was the second question? I feel like
like she commented that alopecia is the same way, because I'm like, is all of this related? Do you think scleroderma was a part of the pituitary issue initially?
Okay, so I was going to go there, but we're going to go there earlier, right?
Yeah.
So here's the thing so a holistic practice, let's first define how a holistic practice looks. It looks at the whole person, mind, body, and spirit. And from a holistic practice, if you see something physical, that means that there's a disconnect spiritually, mentally. And the bigger conversation that we're not having around a lot of the diseases that we specifically see in communities of color and minority communities is trauma. And so as I started to do more research as I was in my undergrad, that's when I started to uncover how my personal trauma played a part into what I was being presented with at the time.
Explain that. I don't know what that means. Yeah.
So ACEs is the word that we use in the field, adverse childhood experiences. Adults who've experienced extended periods of trauma for a sustained period of time. And a lot of times it's stacked, where it's not just one set of trauma, like you might be witnessing domestic abuse, as well as being physically, verbally abused yourself. They are more likely to have an autoimmune disorder than an adult who didn't experience that in their childhood.
Wow.
So,
wow.
The question is,
because I'm trying to think why now the pathology. We don't want to get too deep because I want to get into your detox and get into what you're doing to help manage all these things. However, so that the science behind that relates childhood trauma to autoimmune disease. Why is there a good correlation to it?
So let me use my stuff. Children. So when I started to see a holistic practitioner for my autoimmune disorder,
Mm-hmm.
their immediate, my Chinese medicine doctor was like, "Oh, that's a disease of fear." Now, initially,
Mm.
when he said that, I was like, I was in my 20s. You know, 20s are when your ego is at its highest. It's at
You
its,
know everything. Yes,
I
of
know
course.
everything. You can't tell me nothing, right?
Exactly.
And I was just like, what are you talking about? But then when I started to do my own personal work, I was living in perpetual fear between the
Mm.
age when I got diagnosed with my pituitary tumor. My mom had gotten diagnosed with she was bipolar schizophrenic, now what we define as schizoaffective, and it was traumatic to me.
Mm.
I had a lot of paranoia because I didn't know when she was going to have an episode, and her episodes were very violent and disrupting for a child, you
Yeah.
know. And so I was living in perpetual fear around that. I was also then being inappropriately touched, which created its own fears. And
Yeah.
then when I started to look a little bit more with my pituitary tumor, there's documented research. People who men and women who have prolactinomas have had absentee or abusive fathers.
Wow.
So a lot of times, you know, in our community, like mothers matter. My
Fathers.
pituitary tumor says fathers matter too.
Mhm,
So if
mhm,
the father is not as present as they should be,
mhm,
if there's alcoholism with the father, things like that,
mm.
there's a direct correlation between my prolactinomas and that
Absence or trauma or something with
from
that.
specifically from the father.
Mm, mm. Wow. So science
Um,
will tell us we need whole families wherever possible. Sometimes it's not
yeah,
possible, but if we can,
yeah,
that
yeah, and
is that's interesting. Now we're gonna pivot a little because I want to turn to how you were able to into your adulthood, and I'm grateful that you're pointing out so many of the possible origins because I think people need to think about these things, and we don't really hear and read about where some of these origins are likely to occur. So can you talk about when you started to take control holistically? You say you went to a Chinese doctor and he was like, no, that's a disease of fear. That's a disease of this, like them pointing out certain things. How and like tell me when you started to say I could do more, especially through food and other modalities to heal myself.
2001. I
Tell us
had a
about
crash.
that.
I
Yeah.
had a crash. I crashed. I crashed and
Mm,
burned. Um, I was an overachiever, and so that's something that parents often need to look out for, as well as people who are working with children. Trauma doesn't always show up as dysfunction. It can be that overachiever people pleaser that is trying to compensate for whatever they're dealing with by way of their academics and
hmm
extracurricular activities. And so I graduated from the IB program and I was in my neuroscience program, and I was not as distracted as I could be.
Yes.
Um, and it was like, oh, okay, like I could definitely do more with my health. But then I also had like a crisis where it was just like all of the trauma that I experienced came to a head and I imploded.
That was like
Um,
during college.
yeah,
Oof.
yeah. However, again, I've had angels throughout my life. The minority department at my college, I met Mr. Chambers, and
hmm
he saw that I wasn't doing as well as I was supposed to that semester. He called me up and like, "What's going on?" And I had an honest moment with him, and he sent me to therapy. He was like, "There's a Black therapist on campus, and she can help you navigate that." And that in conjunction with me kind of looking at everything opened the window for who I am today, right?
Wow.
So my healing wasn't just a transformation of how I was approaching how I ate food. It also was a transformation around how I was processing my stressors and my trauma.
Mm.
And instead of pushing it down, moving through it and healing through it and doing things that allowed me to create safe space, because I still wasn't dealing with safe spaces at that point in time. And so I started to do more research. Obviously, in college, you start to do more research about things. So you have more autonomy. And I was like, oh, you know what? I might need to, like, if I change my food, then things are going to get better. And it helped. but it was not enough. So if you're on that food journey, it doesn't always work like that. Cause I was like, oh, I'm gonna go vegan. I'm gonna start taking my medication, and I'm good. I bled for
No, you gotta be careful. That's why she's here, y'all. We need guidance.
I
Everybody needs help and guidance when we're starting.
I bled for a month.
After going vegan?
I went vegan and thought that would suffice. And I stopped cold turkey my medication.
Oh, no. You know, people do that all the time. That's why
why I'm sharing this story.
We gotta do. I'm not gonna say who, a family member who has tried to do that and darn near, end up in a hospital, like complications, because sometimes when you need medicine, and you need to kind of get into a kind of journey, a process of weaning off of it. You can't stop it cold turkey. You will hurt yourself. I've heard people pull blood clots, all this stuff. Oh, I don't need no blood clot. I'm blood thinning medicine. I'm good. Ma'am, you will end up on your back right there in the ER because your blood will clot. That's why they gave you the thinner to begin with. So if you're trying to do things like thin your blood and all what she's describing, you got to do it in like incrementally and with the doctor's supervision. You can't think, and I've seen people do that. They want to talk about island and holistic. They want to drink tea instead of taking the blood pressure medicine or take the cholesterol medicine in the meantime, and then you eat fatty foods. So you might actually have to take the cholesterol medicine till we get your body used to not eating fried foods all day, all night. So we have to think about things, guys, realistically. Medical supervision totally is a necessity when we think about changing our diet, changing what we're doing with medication, etc. Don't just stop your medicine. You need to be under a doctor's supervision. Let me read a couple comments before you continue, Miss Nzingah. Thank you, Miss AKA Lady. Wonderful observation / question. Says, I wonder if stress during pregnancy can cause a disorder. I would say so.
Yes.
Because anything the mother feels, all those hormones that the mother feels, that's why you want to not be. Hallelujah. I think it even changes the child's temperament. And that's anecdotal.
It does. And there's research around that, because I was also looking at possibly that might be why I have my tumor. And it's not just your mother. We experience everything our maternal grandmother experienced while she was pregnant with our mothers, because note, our mother had her eggs in utero. Right. So your trauma while pregnant doesn't just impact your child, it impacts your potential grandchildren.
That's crazy to think about. Well, you get deep. That's deep. Another question Miss AKA Lady has: from your experience, do you think it's possible for the average body to correct autoimmune disorder? Now we're going to get into it through diet. We're going to
talk about that.
So scleroderma we're talking about pituitary benign growth on a pituitary. We're talking about polycystic ovarian syndrome. Again, if you don't know what that is, it can cause very bad pain during menstruation. It can cause tender breasts, all kinds of stuff, and acne, because Kiki Palmer has
irregularity of menstrual cycles as well, and infertility. That's the main consequence of it.
Very bad. So you started kind of rough start on your journey. You say, I can heal myself. Thank you so much, Ebony X. I see you. It says, The Deepest Well is a book that explains ACEs. It's written by Dr. Nadine Burke Harris, a Jamaican. Okay. Teach me. I want to learn about this, because I think sometimes people don't really correlate why we want happy and healthy family, be there one parent, two parent, whatever it is. Just let it be happy. Let it be healthy, loved, affirmed, content, joy, and things your kids are picking up inside their bodies, all kinds of hormonal changes depending on their environment. So thinking about it from that, I think, makes people hopefully want to do better. Hey, Glamour Girl says, hello, everybody. This is a great well, we appreciate you. Thank you again for your support. Like, comment, and share. Go back after the video. I keep forgetting to ask you guys. Comment after the video is over. That also helps it in the algorithm. But we're talking about how health practitioner. She is a wellness consultant, and how she, Ms. Nzingah Oniwosan, helped herself throughout her journeys with these kind of ongoing illnesses that could have been debilitating illnesses, but have not been. So she started out, tried to go cold turkey, vegan, stop my medicine, I'm healed. Darn near choked herself out. I'm laughing lightly, but I'm sure it was a serious medical condition.
So at this point, I have been with my gynecologist for 10 years. So we were homies.
She was like, really? This what you doing? This what
He
you
was like, and I really liked my gynecologist, you know, he was just like, you know, I support you in your journey, but you just can't go cold turkey. Like, your body's been on some of these medications for close to a decade.
Even with birth control.
Yeah, and because
you
one of the
can't
things
just
I was
stop
on
those.
was birth control, and birth control cold turkey is what shut me out.
That could give you all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
And so he was
Bleed
like,
for a month.
yeah, so he was like, I'm going to reduce the dosage and let's work together. And so I think that's where I am different than other holistic practitioners,
Yeah.
is because I believe there's a place where holistic wellness and traditional medicine can be
Coexist, come together. Yep.
come together.
Yep, I agree.
And I have a strong science background.
Yeah, I believe in both. I mean, my grandma rubbed me up with some teas and some intinctions and made me take some stuff. Like, I mean, but at one time people were drinking turpentine. Like, you know, you got to really think about, and it worked because they didn't have other means of curing certain things. But we have more knowledge now, and so there can be a marriage between strictly science and then holistic naturopathy. It is super important. So once you got your wits about you and you're like, okay, let me work with my doctor, my OB, to figure out what I need to do with what I'm on. Tell me about that process, and then what you're eating became in terms of your journey.
I built out my holistic team. So,
okay.
So, you know, sometimes it's ask and you shall receive. The universe, God, heard my prayers and started sending people in my fold to support me in my healing journey. So then I met with a naturopath, and the naturopath put me on a supplement herbal protocol. I started looking at yoga as a pathway for my healing. So I started my yoga practice. I did refine how I was eating. Going vegan does not imply health. And I know sometimes we think those two things are synonymous, but you can be a junk food vegan. I was
about to say, it's a lot of overweight, oversized is really what I wanted to say. People who claim to be vegan, and I'm like, well, you're eating then kind of simple carbs.
Fried food is fried food, whether it's vegan or not.
Yeah, exactly. That's why you got to even be careful with some of these vegan restaurants, because they're dropping everything in a fryer. So yeah, we got to be careful.
That's a whole different discussion.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, not the next. But no, I realize
that's a tantrum for me. Like, oh my God, like it's one more vegan burger joint. It's not.
Yes, it's not good for you, and we got to kind of come back to that. Okay, so you started building a team. So within your team, you had people who said start with the yoga.
I have my therapist. Hold on, don't forget. I have my therapist.
Yes.
Therapist, spiritual advisor, Chinese medicine doctor, naturopath, yoga. And then I started going to different food workshops. I did a lot of reading. And then I started to get certified so I could deepen my knowledge, because I have a forever thirst for information. And it actually made me pivot. I thought I was going to be a neurosurgeon, and here I am.
No, but there are parts of that, and I see Miss AKA Lady. She says this sounds like a mix of epigenetics mixing with regular genetics, if that makes sense. Yes, it does. Yes. It does. So again, nurture versus nature, where we actually have more control and influence than we oftentimes think. Some people are this, we are predisposed to being this. No, you can change just by what you eat, your mind. And your actual body, your cells. So we're going to talk a little bit more about what she's doing now. So you got your team together, and what happened? People want to know about your results. Now, did you see less inflammation with the scleroderma? Did you have more regularity with your monthly cycle? Like, how did you know what was working?
I was told that I would never be able to have a menstrual cycle regularly every month without medication. I don't need medication anymore. I have a regular menstrual cycle. Every 30 days, my menstrual cycle comes on like clockwork. My autoimmune disorder, like I said, can be fatal, particularly in women of color. I know 2 people who are in my age group who have transitioned as a result of it. Once I changed my life and started this holistic living, I haven't had any further scarification.
Yeah.
Because the scars are permanent. They never go away. So like as a teenager, it really messed with my self-esteem. because the majority of my back is covered with scars. And it looks like I was a burn victim. Or I remember going to the beach and the Rasta man saw me. He's like, "What happened to your skin? You look like you've been through a war."
Oh, Jesus. Thank you, Rasta. Thank you, Rasta. Thank you, Father. Listen, the two people I know with scleroderma happen to be white women. And so when you said you had that, I'm looking at you like you don't look how they look. Their skin, as you've described, and they may be more advanced in terms of what they're experiencing, or not having, some of the insights and intuitions that you have now been sharing with us about what to eat, how to manage. Their skin almost look like it's so sensitive, and it almost look. The word I use is plaque, but I think the better word, more scientific, would be scarification. They're like, how you look is not how they look, and they talk about the pain, of course, the visible distortion also makes you feel some kind of way, but it's difficult to live in that condition. I interviewed two people actually for TV that had scleroderma, and still talk to one of them, but it's just like seeing you and you telling me you have it, and seeing them and how far it has progressed in their body. I'm like, guys, this is like night and day. I didn't know you had a YouTube channel. Shout out to thanks, RM, one of my moderators. Thank you for checking that out. Hey, Great Pill. Shout out to everybody who is watching. Team Replay, hit the like button, leave a comment. I appreciate y'all being here. Yes, this is what Miss AKA Lady, we're not going down this rabbit hole, but she said, I would rather eat a piece of fish than make believe meat. Some of that faux food don't look healthy. Listen, I could do a whole show on just that, but we're going to leave that there. But so your scars early on were more so on your back, and then they don't go away, as you're saying.
They don't go away. So for me, one of my goals was I had to come to terms with that my scars were not going to go. The scars I had weren't going to go away, but I didn't want me to be here 20 years later with more scars. Yes. So I've been able to put my scleroderma in remission. And so that, and with PCOS also, I've been able to regulate my hormones. But I will say, like, my biggest thing outside of like diet and keeping things clean, like clean. When I think about clean, it's not just my food, it's the products I put on my skin. And that's a conversation that we're not having, because a lot of the products that we use are hormone disrupting, and they can trigger autoimmune disorders. And so everything's organic, everything, I can read the label, I'm not afraid. It makes it hard for me to get things like makeup, because a lot of makeup that isn't the clean beauty realm doesn't align with my skin tone, right? Which is a whole conversation. But also, just my main thing is managing my stress, because if my stress goes out, my body goes out. Wow. And so some of us are more sensitive. And it's not to say that other people are not being impacted by their stress, because again, stress causes inflammation, and a lot of people are not having the things that they're having because they're eating bad. It's because their stress levels are outrageous. Because I work with clients and I get them to eat really well, and the numbers will go down, but once those stressors come slapping through the corner, their numbers go right back up. And the real conversation with this holistic living is body, mind, and spirit.
There you go. Wow. So tell us about what your life looks like now in terms of your own personal health, and then how you help others. We have about 10 minutes.
Okay. Tell me. So what does my life look like now?
So so I always start with, you say body, mind, and spirit. Tell me about your spiritual practice. Are you still within the Adventism realm? Do you have your own kind of beliefs and such? How do you balance yourself?
I have like my own spiritual place. I do like, everything is on YouTube now, so I watch church from home. Okay.
So you still do your church thing, but you're not really at a church. I get it.
I wouldn't say I wouldn't, I will say that I hold Seventh-day Adventism created a very strong foundation for who I am today. Because there was a lot of things in terms of our health messages.
Oh, you guys, that church practices holistic Daniel fasting, not fasting.
So there was a lot of things I didn't eat, because I'm Haitian. People like, you had griot, and I was like, I have never had griot ever.
Because you're Seventh Day. Yeah, okay.
So
they laid a foundation for you in terms of understanding health as a part of just healthy living.
Okay. Yes. Okay, yes. Cool. So I have a strong meditation practice, and it's got really strong over the past year and few months. I've been meditating since January 1st of last year till like today. So it's like what, day 400 and something.
Meaning you sit quiet. What does that look like for you?
I sit quiet, or I might do a guided meditation where I'm listening to something, but I start my day off with prayer and meditation every day.
Wonderful. You must be grounded, sis. Wow.
And wow. I have my yoga practice, and you know what it is. It just, I know that I can't avoid stress, right? If living in this world, we can't avoid stress, but I need to change. And this is what I said to my clients. We can't avoid stress, but we have to mitigate how we process it. And we need to have tools in place so that we can process our stress a lot better so that it doesn't consume us.
Yeah. Yeah. We have to, like, the stressor, we can see the food, we can see the toxic environment, but the way stress from those environments impact us, like I don't think we give that enough credit for what damage it can do. So we have to really, whether it's the relationship, that's so easy to people, to point out, but job and children and just life balance creates, or not being balanced so much creates that stress. So we have to really understand where stressors are coming from. And as you said, hey, Brown Gal Peace Lounge, she's also a wonderful channel that helps us meditate and stay within in our Zen. She does fantastic work over there helping people to meditate. So if you guys are looking to start meditating, her channel is a great place to start as well. Talking to Nzingah Oniwosan and her journey from dealing with very traumatic stressors in her life as a child that most likely impacted her having long-term illnesses such as a growth on her pituitary gland. Thank goodness it wasn't cancerous. Still, she has it. So when we talk about spirit, so the yoga practice, I know you are a celebrity yoga instructor. I seen the bio, and that you have 500 plus hours of yoga, and that you still have your, I guess, Christian-based spiritual practice as well. Tell me now, mind-wise, you meditate. So mind, body, I'm trying to get spirit. But tell me now about
therapy. I'm not
therapy.
I
just recommended that to one of my homeboys. I was like, you could talk to me, but you gonna need a therapy. Jeremy on the super chat out here showing love. Thank you so much. Nice. Out here trucking, likes what he's hearing. We appreciate you deeply, brother. Thank you. Always showing support. But yeah, that part I just he was telling me how his job was stressing him. This was stressing him. These people ain't acting right. I said, listen, you can talk to me and I'm going to have, time for you. But I said, you're going to have to get a therapist because there's stuff that you wouldn't even want me to know or want to reveal. You know how men can they don't want you to see them too weak. They go show you certain things. I'm like, and I don't need to know. Even your deepest, darkest secret, you could tell somebody who must keep it confidential, allows you to sometimes just speak in that thing, releases it from you. We carry it with us, guys. So to understand how important it is, I don't think we even have time right now to underscore, because I have my Patreon community right after this, y'all. We're going live. I got 2 shows back to back with Faraji Muhammad. He's going to talk about surviving LA. He's moved. He relocated from Baltimore to Los Angeles. I asked him how it's going and what we can learn. So right after this, guys, we're going to a Patreon only, my members only community over there on Patreon with Faraji Muhammad. He's waiting actually in the wings as we kind of finish up here. But shout out to Jeremy. Thank you, out here trucking, always holding me up in this space. And I'm just so grateful. So now let's get into the detox, because you're teaching people 21 days of detox. So do you not eat real food? Like, because I see a lot of plants on your page and a lot of fruit. Now, I was admiring you for those reasons. I was like, I wonder if that's all she eats. I wonder if she put that with something else. And it looks so good, like almost straight from the tree, from the farmer's market, wherever. Like, it looks like, I'm like, is she in South Florida? Like, where are you getting all this fresh looking stuff? So tell me about how you eat. I'm just so curious about that.
Yeah. Okay. So the thing I didn't talk about in my journey is I learned the importance of detoxing and cleansing.
Mm.
Um, and that allowed my body to take a break from what I was putting in it so it could do what it was divinely designed to do, which is heal itself. Right. So I
Mm.
got detox and cleansing. Detox specifically supports your organ systems that do that work of eliminating toxins, which is your liver and your kidneys. And a cleanse is specifically for our colon. And it also deals with things like parasites, so eliminating that waste. A lot of us are constipated. Even if you're having
Yeah.
regular bowel movements, you're not, you
Eat
still
some
might.
vegetables. Eat some
Yeah.
vegetables to get you right.
Yeah. So I detox and cleanse every quarter.
What does
Um,
that look like? That 21 days look like?
so my 21-day reset, I'm nice and I'm gentle. I'm gentle. That first week we just replace your breakfast. We give you
With
a
what?
nice green smoothie that tastes good. I think what all my clients say is they can't believe how good we can make fruits and vegetables taste. And I really credit that to my Caribbean background.
Nice. Mhm.
Um,
Okay.
and then that second week, we replace dinner with a salad. And that third week, we're raw. And then there's an option to take it up a notch and, maybe juice for a couple days or smoothies for a couple more days after that.
Mm-hmm.
But there's support all along the way with our 21-day reset. We also give you yoga practice, meditation, journal prompts, and we also start to talk to you about how you can start to make healthier choices in your everyday life outside of a detox and cleanse.
Mm-hmm.
And we also have things like our herbal blend if someone wants to have that or not. And again, just like
So these are
really,
your products?
yeah, I created my own blends.
Ah, okay.
Mhm.
And herbal blends meaning teas?
It's not just teas. We have a tea, but then we have some capsules. Like we have
Uh-huh.
a parasite capsule that uses some products like wormwood is a herb that is known
I'm gonna
for.
say dandelion. My uncle from Jamaica always talk about dandelion.
Dandelion is really great for the liver. So that's one of the teas that's part of one of the herbs that are in our herbal tea. But in
Yeah.
our parasite capsule, we have like the strong wormwood, black walnut, cloves. And that's why it's in a capsule form because nobody wants to taste that. If you've ever had wormwood cold turkey, it is not for the faint
Woo!
hearted.
That's gonna get you right though. That's
Yeah.
gonna
And
get you right.
we also have a
So,
green blend
mhm.
in that mix too that you
Say
add
one
to
more
your
time. A
smoothies. Yeah.
green.
We have our blend, the Incredible Bulk, which is a green powder that detoxifies, and energizes the body. And so it's a nice little mix of things to help
Uh,
support that cleansing detox process.
Brown Gal Peace Lounge say yes, cleansing is life changing. So, can anyone sign up? Do they have to be a client? What is the
Any
process to connect with you?
anyone can sign up. As a matter of
Yeah.
fact, I just made a special code for your listeners.
Thank you.
So our second group starts April 3rd. So you have a little time to get ready.
Okay.
And the discount code is Suzette Speaks. There's a space between Suzette and Speaks, and you're
Okay.
actually gonna get 40% off our program.
That's what's up. Thank
Yeah.
you.
You're
That's
welcome.
a lot.
Yeah, that is a lot.
Okay.
I was like, I can do
No,
that.
so wait a minute. So they go to Yes Baby I Like It Raw.
Go to
What website?
yesbabyilikeItraw.com. At the top, it says join the 21-day reset.
Oh,
And then
wonderful.
put the coupon code Suzette Speaks, and that'll get you 40%.
Space. Oh man,
Yeah,
thank
and we do
you.
weekly calls, and I'm really big on about empowering. I think what was really big in my journey is I was not held hostage to
What
the
does that
people.
mean?
So sometimes people control the information so that you're dependent on them. And
Okay.
I want to empower you so that you can be the leader in your own healing. So I'm here to support you to recognize that you are your own healer. And
Ah,
everything you need already lies inside of you, learning how to listen to your body and just supporting you in that journey. So it's our calls are all about learning. So we do check-ins, but it's also like, this is what we're going to learn this week. And then we have our WhatsApp group there as well to support you along the way. And then our learning system, we have more information that you're gathering through the weeks as you go through that 21-day reset.
so we gonna support y'all. So first of all, check out her YouTube channel, right? You can go to yesbabyilikeItraw.com. 40%. Yes, Miss AKA Lady. Hey, DL. Good to see you. 40% off. That's my type of discount. So now I got to go look and go check it out. I've been doing, you guys know, or my Patreon will mostly know that I've been doing somewhat of a Lenten fast. But yay, thank you. The work from home girl. You know, I was thinking about you, the work from home wife of Atlanta. Thank you for being here, sis, because of the Holy Week, I wanted to get you and someone else who I know are practitioners of like Holy Week kind of eating, cleansing. I've been watching your videos, sis. Go check her out, y'all. The Work from Home Wife Atlanta practices I would say, a more Judeo Christian, but really Judeo Old Testament kind of. I don't want to tell people. I want you to I want them to go say I don't want to get it wrong, but Hebrew, I guess, is the right term. Correct me in the chat if I'm wrong, sis. Hebrew lifestyle. And just watching some of your videos, I'm like, this is really interesting. I would love to get you along with someone else, maybe from maybe the Catholic faith or somewhere else, to discuss what's going on in this time of Lent for you in terms of what practices, and Passover, I should say, in terms of what practices you are putting together for your household and for your families. I find it very interesting. So may reach out to you. I wanted to do a panel with kind of just religious kind of practices at this time of year. I think it's really, I'm curious about it. So maybe you guys will be too. But definitely we're going live right after this, y'all. Patreon community, go over. I'm going to text Faraji. Give me 2 minutes. We're going to go over and discuss. I didn't even post about it, but it's called Surviving LA, Living That. No, live only in LA. And I want him to talk about his big move and what it's been like over there in terms of the people, the food, like the unity or lack thereof in the Black community. I really want to delve in a little bit. And again, my Patreon is members only, content you won't get on YouTube. But Nzingah, I want you to finish up, love, because I want people to go over and support. First of all, support her. You see the Instagram. You can go and follow her. Yes, baby, I like it raw on Instagram. She also has a Facebook, right? And support the channel, right? On all. Really? You got my thank you. Look RM already. I got your Catholic panelists. Look, they already look at. I love my community working on my behalf, because I was thinking about. I was like, I need somebody who can talk about this from a real perspective, because some people, this is life, this is real, and I don't think everybody really is also aware of how people honor this time of year. Yeah, you get your fish sandwich. Everybody got a fish sandwich right now. My struggle stream. Sorry, that means I'm about to head out. But thank you, Miss AKA Lady. Cheers to a good run of it. Listen, my people are the best, even when the stream's struggling. Thank you very much. But yeah, more than a fish sandwich, more than everybody put fish on the menu. Want to talk about the deep spiritual aspects of what this means for people and people who are living it. I really want to get into it. Thank you, RM. RM, text me. Better that you text me. Don't email me. My email be full. Every time I clear it out, y'all, it will fill it back up. So text me, RM, if you would, please. But I want to give Miss Nzingah a final word. Support the detox coming up in April. I'm going to look at my calendar because I'm supposed to be taking a couple trips in April. So I'm going to still detox. But that third week.
It's gentle enough. I
don't want to be in no plane.
I give people. No, it's not like that. I don't have you crawling on the floor.
I don't want to be in an airport. Like, I'm at the airport, I can't get on my flight. I know that's, guys, it's terrible. But when we Caribbean people say detox, we mean
it's not like what my grandma did to me.
And that be you can't leave your house. Okay,
it's gentle. It's gentle.
So it takes your raw food plus capsules and things that you send. Is that what it is?
I send it out. But there's an option to do it without the herbs, and there's an option to do it with the herbs.
Oh, okay. So she's gonna teach y'all. Go check it out. Yes. Listen, I've been wanting to come through, but I don't want to be on, indisposed and can't do what I need to do and travel. But I'm so intrigued. Last comment. I want you to tell me just now. Give me a final update. Now your skin is telling me the scleroderma clearly is in remission. Do you have a normal menstrual cycle, which they told you would never have? Do you owe that to, I guess you said a balance. I don't want to put words in your mouth, because you have the mind, you have the body, you have the spirit. And I want to know what's going on with the pituitary tumor. Is it the same size? Is it having any other post effect?
But again, the effects have been neutralized through lifestyle. So we do want to monitor it to make sure it doesn't grow. But I've been fine, and what I would have been taking medications for, I no longer need to do that. And I've had people reach out who have the same tumor, who didn't have menstrual cycles, and we were able to get them back on track. So that's the work I do on deep dives with people who have very specific health conditions. I can help them in their journey to reverse or place some things in remission, depending on what it is.
All right. This sounds like in the Dr. Sebi family of get people right, because sometimes, modern medicine has its place. And I think you guys obviously need to check with your doctor before you start any program.
Yeah.
But you also want to know that, things were given to us here on earth for a reason. Plants had the answers. Most medicines are modeled after what plants were already doing. People don't know that. And certain things that are not even available to us are already there in plants, right? So we want to be holistic in our approach. Don't just take the medicine. Don't just eat, certain foods. Think about your stress level. Think about also your therapy. Think about how you're getting quiet time and away from the stressors of lifetime, and praying and all the things, like she said, it's mind, body, and spirit. So I'm grateful. Final comment from you, my love. They can find you where?
Yes, baby, I like it raw.
Hey, the best title of a company I've ever heard in my life. Fantastic. I'm grateful that she came through, blessed us with her knowledge. Y'all check out more at yesbabyilikeItraw.com. That's all the time we have for now. I do have a Patreon going live. If you want more exclusive content, I'm going live Saturday again on my Patreon. Girl, I'm going to talk about dating in Miami. I know, girl, I don't know what you single married girl. 2 things happened to me Sunday when I went out, and then last night when I went out. I'm like, oh God, I have to talk to the Patreon about what's going on in these streets. Miami is not a real place. Miami is not a real place. If I tell you what happened, I told my brother, he was like, what? Like, I have to say, that's Patreon. Show on Saturday as well. Recession-proof jobs in project management. Someone was talking to me about project management jobs you can get with not simple, but like certifications, things you don't have to go to school for. We're going to do that with Mrs. Chandler on Saturday, Monday. I have another wellness. We're all about the wellness right now. Practitioner Jeremy Etienne will be on Monday. I have a good lineup next week as well. So if you are not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe, please. Hit the subscribe button. Leave a comment after this show. And Nzingah, a pleasure to have you. Thank you. You were amazing. I hope you enjoyed yourself, and I hope we can definitely do it again. And thank you. So here you go, Jeremy. Ben told you to leave Miami. Jeremy, I should drop you the link just so you can be a part of the conversation on Saturday. Because these people out here, I'm like, am I a real person? Or me and my friend went out last night, and it was like 2 places, and it was like, no, we're going home. We're going home right now. After show, Patreon, going live. Give me a minute. All right. Thanks, Nzingah. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hit the like button on your way out. I'll see you very soon. Appreciate you, sis. Take care.
Thanks.